Is Pyro's goose cooked?
The little major domo bird hippity hop all the way to the birdie boiler.
Oh no, not the birdie boiler!
It might just be given some recent developments. Okay, so in case you somehow don't know, Pyoro is a leaker on Twitter who's become quite prominent over the past year or so, as they've become well known for leaking major Nintendo announcements in advance, including things like dates for Nintendo Directs, and specific game announcements like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and more recently, the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition game. We've actually covered their leaks multiple times ourselves as they quickly became an incredibly reliable source. But it seems that may be changing, because uncharacteristically, Pyoro had almost nothing to say in advance of last week's Nintendo Direct, except for saying they didn't expect too many big announcements. The only problem is there actually ended up being quite a few big announcements, including a new Mario & Luigi game, a new Zelda game, a new Mario Party game, and the reappearance of Metroid Prime 4. So clearly something had changed, and we may now know why thanks to a poster on Resetera that goes by the title The Game Master, as they noticed an interesting pattern, specifically that every game that Pyoro has leaked up to this point all had websites ready to go in advance of their announcements so that they could be published immediately following the reveal, whereas websites that were published later for games were never leaked by Pyoro. And sure enough, following the most recent Nintendo Direct, there were no websites to be found immediately following the game's announcements. Instead, they came quite a bit later, which explains why Pyoro seemingly knew nothing of the contents of the Nintendo Direct, and mistakenly took that as a sign that there being nothing big there, which of course we now know was incredibly untrue. So all of this suggests that Pyoro somehow had access to the back end of Nintendo's website publishing tools. And that theory is further supported by something Pyoro said himself, because as reported by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, they reached out to Pyoro and asked him about this theory. And Pyoro admits that the back end theory is a reasonable guess. But interestingly, Pyoro also suggests that they didn't have direct access themselves, and instead had a source that worked for Nintendo of Japan. Whatever the exact case may be, it seems Nintendo has caught on, as that's almost certainly why there were zero websites to be found for any of the brand new games announced in the most recent Nintendo Direct, meaning Pyro's sources were entirely cut off, and it left him completely in the dark when it came to big announcements, just like anyone else. Now, in the time since the Bloomberg article was posted earlier today, there have been a couple of small developments. First off, Pyoro took to Twitter to say, "What the fudge? I didn't know they would include my responses in their report." Which is a weird takeaway to have considering you're talking to a Bloomberg reporter, and especially when the Bloomberg reporter is Jason Schreier. In response, Jason posted a segment of their conversation, which confirms this shouldn't have been a surprise to Pyoro. And now, as a result of all the fallout, Pyoro has privated their Twitter account. And this might just be the end of the road for Pyoro, at least as a Nintendo leaker, because it seems Nintendo really was hell-bent on making sure these leaks came to an end. I had even heard myself before any of this happened that Nintendo had cracked down an unusual amount in advance of this Nintendo Direct. So I guess congrats to Nintendo because they won this time. But if there's anything I've learned from all my years of covering Nintendo, there will always be another leaker to take their place. In any case, there you have it everyone, the seeming end of the Pyoro era. And of course, if you want to read even more about it, I'll post links to the Resetera post and the Bloomberg article in the description below. And with that, we're about done here, but let us know in the comments what you think of all this, whether Pyoro flew too close to the sun, and the potential drought of leaks to come. And with that, we'll catch you later. Have a good weekend, everyone!